Okay, setting the valve lash on all the valves on the Slant 6. Lash is the space between the bottom of the rocker arm and the top of the valve. So I'm going to do it cold. You're supposed to do this when the engine's warm, but I need somewhere to start, so I'm going to do it cold. So what we're going to do is set the intake to 8 thousandths and the exhaust to 10. I've marked where all the intakes are on here because it's not simply this one, this one, this one. It changes intake, 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 and then these two here, intake here. This one and this one. I'm going to set them as per the firing order. So 1, 5, 3, 6, 2, and then 4. I'll set them that way. And to begin, usually you set them so there's like a little bit of space before you get going. Because where do you start, right? Well, obviously this one is completely off. So I'm just going to tighten that down until it... So you can see that it's completely off there. So I'll wind it down and make sure I don't get it, at least get it started. You can see that one's pretty far off. The other ones are pretty good, like they're all sitting in their seats. This one is not, it needs to come down some more. So I'm just tightening it, and eventually it'll take up the slack. And so what I'm looking for is, like, we're going down to 8 thousandths of an inch. So, you know, you can put it right down till there's virtually no space. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, we're gonna start with the number 1 cylinder, and we're going to use the exhaust opening intake closing method. So here is the exhaust valve. So as that exhaust valve starts to open, i.e. moves down, I'm going to just make sure it goes down a little bit, and then this should be free, the intake valve, and I'm going to set that to 8 thousandths. So let's rotate the engine around. So we're watching for this valve, the exhaust valve, to start to open. Oh, it's starting to go down now. So I let it go down a little bit further. Now you can see that that one's got a little bit of lash in it. So take my feeler gauge. It's the intake one of 8 thousandths, and I'm going to slide it under. And what I'm looking for is a little bit of an interference fit. So as I pull it out, it's snagging it. And maybe that's just not enough. And like, this is very fine. Like, as soon as I do a little bit of a turn, it's too much. So there, I like that. Just a little bit of drag as I pull it out. Okay, so that was exhaust opening, adjust the intake. Now I'm going to do intake closing, and I'm going to adjust the exhaust. So spin the engine around some more. All right, intake closing means this one here is already down. So it's all the way down now, and it looks like it's on its way up to closing. And now the exhaust should have some space. So we got the 10 thousandths feeler gauge, and I can't even jab that in there, so that's too tight. Let's loosen it off. Loosen, loosen, loosen. All right. So that slides almost too freely. Just a little bit. I will do this again once the engine's warm, once it gets going. Oh, I'm turning the wrong way. Oh man, lefty loosey, righty tighty. Oh boy. I need somebody in here to watch me. All right, there we go, that's good. Okay, so like I said, that's one done. And I'm gonna do them in the firing order. So this is pretty handy. The gasket and the holes don't line up. Well, there's these little tabs on the edge of the gasket. Oops. You pull them. You line the hole a little better, and then you're everything has a liberal amount of high performance penetrating fluid. And let's see. That was pretty easy. Two different sizes. One has a washer. Not sure if that's supposed to be like that. Okay, nothing budging yet. All right, move on. Take some other pieces off. Oh yeah, quite a bit of dirt in there. Barely see through this. Well, that'll clean up well. Okay, looks like there's 6 of these. Get those off. None of these were that hard to get off. It's surprising. Good surprising. All right, cover came off. I found the other washer that was on the initial 2 screws. They're supposed to be. Looks like a small lock washer. We have a diaphragm. The cover. And then some junk. I don't know if you got that. Still trying to get this other part off here. Quite a bit of junk coming out of there. I don't want to ruin this next diaphragm because I don't think I have anything like that in the kit over there. Okay, I got it. There was a little lip in here. Oh, there it is. I ended up putting the putty knife in, hit it with a hammer. So, nope, maybe not. Come on. I know there's a spring in here. I don't know why it's holding on so well. In the manual, it just shows an exploded diagram of this whole section. Okay, all right. I just manned up, pulled it, and it came off. Now this is supposed to come out of here as well. So what I'm looking at is there's a spring, and it's in the top of this housing. And then the diagram, apparently they made 4 different types of these. So right there. So I believe I have this one here. So I'm pretty close to disassembling it. And it doesn't look like there's anything that holds it in there other than just maybe an interference fit of some sort. But I'll keep trying it. Okay, so I was playing around with it some more, and that spring is attached to this arm here. You can see how it works when the lobe of the camshaft spins around. It pulls in that diaphragm, and then it'll pull in fuel through one of those screens and out through the other. To get this all apart, I'd have to take out this pin, which has been sort of smashed in there, and I don't have another one of those, so I'm just gonna leave this alone. The diaphragm looks like it's intact, so we're just gonna call it there. The rest of the stuff's going into the ultrasonic bath. I'm just gonna get that ready and bring you back when we're putting this thing back together. Okay, There's the little mini ultrasonic cleaner. Just topped it up with some water. Gonna use the Simple Green HD Pro. Looks like it's probably about 4:1. And we'll drop in our stuff, get it bubbling. Where's the plug? It's over here by the alternator. And the cover that doesn't fit when the wire basket's in. Well, what are you gonna do? Coming off from Amazon. It was cheap. It works. Okay. Oops. All right, so plugged it in. Doesn't have an on-off, it just comes in as soon as you plug it in. That's the temperature you set it to and what its current temperature is. And by the way, if you live up here in Canada, and this thing drops below, what was the temperature I tried to use it for in the winter? It wouldn't come on. It was too cold. I had to warm, because I left the liquid in, it got so cold, it just didn't turn on. It wouldn't heat up. So I had to warm up the liquid before it got going. Anyway, so 50 degrees and go 30 minutes. Turn that on so it starts to warm up and start getting it buzzing. And then we'll put it back together after. All right, just finished. Oh, let me get the music off. YouTube will get mad. You can see it went to 57 degrees, so I'm not sure what the thermostat is there for. I set 50, it goes to 57. All right, let's have a look. It's hot. It's hot. That didn't get that clean. Everything else looks like it's got a nice sheen on it. So we'll just tidy that up, dry it off, and get things back together. After everything's gone through the ultrasonic cleaner, I've been sort of cleaning everything by hand with spray 9 and Q-tip and brushes, and it's still pretty dirty in there. I can't get that off, but overall it doesn't look that bad. A little worried about this rubber diaphragm, because it's going to be pumping the fuel through those two little inlets, through the, through the in, pull it through there, push it through that and out. And it's going to do that. Cleaned everything up. This stuff's looking better. But just in case, I ended up buying a new one. So, from Rock Auto, Korea, $14.46. That's US dollars. I think I paid 16 something Canadian. And here it is, fuel pump. So my intent has always been with this engine is to use all the old stuff as much as possible, but I had to. There is the replacement. And there's no taking this apart, so. But for $16, I thought I'd have a backup, and if that doesn't produce the pressure I need, I'll just swap it out at the time. So I'm gonna get this all back together. Everything's been clean, wire wheeled, and we'll start reassembly. Get it on the engine. All right, back together. Out of these guys, there's 6 longer screws. They're for the housing on the outside. The 2 shorter squat ones are for that guy. honestly could not remember which way I took this off. Try to see if there was a way of telling by the embossed part of the diaphragm, but there isn't. So I had to go back on the video, which is a good thing to have, and I verified that there were no polka dots pointing up this way, so polka dots down, and I don't think it matters which side is which. And we'll get this on. All right, that's part's done. I'll put the two fittings on here. I don't think there's a way to do this the wrong way, but you never know. In and out. Is there a way? Can you get them on the other way? Oh no! I don't know which. I can't remember. All right, hold on. I went in the back and had a look. So the brass fitting was on the out. The nipple was on the in. So hopefully those don't leak. I don't know if they need any tape on them or not. We shall see.
So this thing never did come apart. I believe if you punch out the pin and take out that little lever that runs in the camshaft, it would take it out. But we're not going to do that. Alright. So, get this squished back on, get some screws started. The top diaphragm sits proud of the casing. And this looks like it's too large. Gets in the way of the screwdriver. Alright, when I was looking in the manual about for this fuel pump, there didn't seem to be anything to service other than the diaphragms. But it didn't say here, check this to these tolerances. So it does have a pressure check, but that's with it on the engine and running. So our pressure check will be, does the engine run once it gets going, but we'll never test once we get it attached. And the backup is the new one, so. Get on there. The original manufacturer on the of this fuel pump was Carter. I don't see the name on here. This one is made in Canada. But the one I bought from Rock Auto was brand new as Carter. That's cool. Definitely doesn't feel as sturdy as this one. Kind of like the way this one feels. It's all solid metal. And just hope those diaphragms hold. Okay, we'll get the rest of these tightened up. We'll get the gasket. I'll find out the torque for this and we'll get this on the engine.
Here's the manual. The specs on the fuel pump are there. Some general information says it runs off the camshaft. There seems to be several different models. I don't know if they're the first one looks like the one that's closest to mine, and then there's a couple other models for the different engines. Pressure test on the car, depending on which one you have. This car should be between 3.5 to 5 PSI. For cleaning it, just says use some solvent to get rid of all the gunk. Use some compressed air. Reassembly. is pretty straightforward. Don't use shellac. I don't even have any. Important one at the bottom is place the pump in a vise, then push on the rocker armor until full travel is reached. Hold in this position while tightening the attached screw. So I went back and did that. Make sure the diaphragm works well. And then it says test the pump. Okay, so back to the beginning here. Get it ready to go on. Usually at the front of these sections is a torque. This talks about the carburetor. So I'll keep looking and see what I can find. If not, we'll just do good and tight and leave it. The gasket from this here is pretty thin. Maybe that's why there's two. Here's the old one. It's got some thickness to it. The one from my engine rebuild kit's about the same thickness. And then the one from the new fuel pump is pretty thin. So maybe that's why there's two. I'm gonna go and use this one. Go ahead and use that one. Had to turn the engine over a little bit to move the cam to make this easier to get in. All right, done. Nice. All right, next thing we're gonna do, oil pump. So I started taking this apart the other day. I was in here just messing around. So pretty rusted up. It's seized. I cannot turn this cam on that rotor. So I started taking it apart. So it just had the cover attached with those screws. It had a oil seal around there. I cleaned that up a little bit. The oil relief spring in there came out with a plug, a gasket, a spring, and there's still a valve in there. It's right in there. You probably can't see that, but I'm hoping once I get that out, I'll be able to push it from this side. Also, a sensor. I'm not sure because I've never driven this car before if it has a oil pressure sensor or this is just some other sensor for maybe an oil pressure light or something like that. We'll see. Anyway, it's about as far apart as you can get. The next thing is to press this off. So I'm going to go over to the hydraulic press and see if I can get that to come up. I'm going to throw some heat on it and get set up for that. Well, as I was walking over to find out what kind of socket I could use to put on there, the outer lobe came out. Well, look at that. All right, back to what I was doing. Sometimes I find the hardest thing to do is to rig up some sort of contraption in the press. So got one of the metal blocks on that edge. Hopefully it's not damaging it. The other one right here. 8mm socket. And we just broke it. Damn it. Okay, so I busted off the housing of the oil pump. Okay, here's my mistake. There was a keyway that went through the cam, and basically I should have supported this underneath. I just couldn't find a way to do it properly, so I was trying to push the whole thing down, and that key ended up going right into the housing and breaking off a piece. So lesson learned. Okay, I just bought one. So that was a $91 mistake with shipping, 126 Canadian. Just getting ready for the oil pump installation. Got the torque wrench, 200 inch-pounds for the 5/16 bolts. I don't have an inch-pound one, so it's 16.667 foot-pounds. Got a cheapo oil filter just to throw on for the initial start. Some oil, the new oil pump, which came in that box, sealed power. Made in Mexico, although this one has a Melling engine part descriptor on it. There's the old pump with the crack that I made and the temperature sensor. So on the bag it says, submerge the pump in clean oil and turn the gears of rotors by head before installation. Okay, so I'll just put that in. Oh, one thing I wanted to point out is we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bolt holes on the engine block. But the old pump has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 holes with one blocked off. The new one has the exact same thing. And I was under the assumption that that was okay. That was done by the manufacturer. And this little piece of paper came in the new pump. And it says, in some newer engines, Chrysler Corp has removed the 6th mounting bolt hole from the oil pump and replaced it with a 5-bolt housing. The oil pump housing with 5 bolt holes can be used with the 6-bolt hole engine block and the gasket. So gasket remains 6 holes, not symmetrical. So you gotta make sure you get that on right. That one came with it. This one came with the big old, all those gaskets up in that box up there. I'm gonna use that one. Again, I like blue. All right, so I'm gonna put some oil in the holes after I install that guy, turn the gear around a bit, then get it installed on the block. What is going on here? I'm using the 3/4. Fits in there. It's not 5/8. This is metric. Okay, I wasn't losing my mind. It's 11/16. I didn't have 11/16 in the socket with the box end on it. I went from 5/8 to 3/4, so got that. When this came off, it had thread tape on it. And I'm wondering if that's something that needs to go back on there or not. Seems like a pretty, I don't know if it's just standard plumber's tape. That doesn't make much sense, does it? I don't think that would be resistant to oil. All right, executive decision. We're just gonna tighten this on. If it leaks, we'll have to fix it later. Yeah. That seems good. If I pour oil in, it's going to come out there. So let's put this guy on. Oh no! Shit. Oh. I guess I deserve that. Well, we got oil everywhere. I don't know if I can be able to get this on hand tight. Nope. I'm flipping all over the place. Go with that. All right, I poured on the filter side and it's staying put. I'm gonna put this on the gear side. Bloop, making lots of bubbles. And it's all gone. Must be moving over to the filter side. That's awesome. So I added the gasket sealer to this. See, I was saying it's not symmetrical. There we go. All right, it fell off. So I ended up putting it on there. Okay, sliding it in now. can't pull anything. I'm trying to pull this socket off of the torque wrench. My hands are covered in oil. Anyway, back to the little screwdriver. I got it at 9.
Come on. Gotta get the belt first. See how close to the torque that was? Not bad. Where was it?
I'm covered in oil. Okay, just double check everything. Good. It's the blanking part. Good. 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 Okay. Not bad. Just the distributor to go, spark plugs, and then up here will be the alternator and igniter. That one screw hole holds the bracket. So that's next to come. Time to clean up. All right, till next time. See ya.